Space News 103. Hello, thank you for being here with me once more. I hope you are very well today. This is Marie, with another edition of Space News. Welcome to my channel. This information can be seen as science fiction, or as the viewer sees best, and I post it for entertainment purposes only. Still, I take my information very seriously, and for whoever has eyes to see. I am writing this in English on the morning of October 3, 2025. In the first piece of space news for today, the brand new Taygetan dreadnought starship Elnath, of the new Aldebaran class, returned to Earth's low orbit to join our fleet once more, after a short stay in Tema, with her shipbuilders, who performed some last-minute upgrades on her 8 engines. I understand that they were not physical upgrades, as they were only done on the computers which control her engines. Although the system is different, and human terminology doesn't really apply to Taygetan computers, we could say that all they did in Tema was to perform a software upgrade on Starship Elnath's engine control computers. Every new ship must have all its systems tuned to perfection before demanding 100% performance and expecting full reliability. This means that the crew of the Starship Elnath will not be manning the newly repaired Starship Toleka, who will have to wait a little more for her final crew to be assembled before returning to service in low Earth's orbit, which is deep space for most of us, but not for me, as I do consider Earth my home as well. And I see no problem with having 2 places to call home. And like me, a few other Taygetans feel the same way because of their similar experiences here. I feel that at least some of you out there would like Toleka to get her old crew back, for nostalgic purposes, or whatever, and partially I feel the same way, but we must all understand that life moves on, and so do circumstances. And only a few of her original crew members would even be available, as most of them have moved on to do other things back in Taygeta, where they have moved on to other stages of their lives. This has reached a point where some of her most important and notorious crew members are no longer alive, as many of you know. So, expecting things to be as before is no longer possible. Continuing with the subject of new ships and equipment. Last Monday, the large Taygetan supply cargo starship Sasketch-2 jumped out of hyperspace at a distance of about half an astronomical unit as it approached Earth as scheduled. As it initiated its braking procedure with its reverse thrust engines, it was attacked by a swarm of 12 decently large starships, which we later identified as Cabal secret space program vessels. Starship Sasketch-2 is not a warship, she is a civilian Taygetan cargo vessel just like the Saskatchewan, as both ships are of the same class, although Sasketch-2 is significantly larger and heavier, making her the biggest Taygetan starship in service. Although her shields could take most of the hits, she sustained some hull damage in 2 places, starboard amidship and port aft. As it was later explained to me, her shields are tuned and designed for space debris such as rocks and asteroids, and lack the several layered frequency dynamic adapting shields of a dedicated warship. This is why the starship Alcyone sustained heavy hits from the Atorthan vessels last year without taking any damage. This was at the beginning of the Viera incident. The 12 secret space program ships made several passes at her, shooting with plasma cannon, while Sasketch-2, being so big and heavy and unarmed, could only call for help. The Taygetan starships Sindriel and Atlas arrived shortly after, and the 12 aggressors ran away as fast as they arrived when they saw those 2 Taygetan warships jump out of hyperspace. No one was hurt in this incident. It was later determined that those 12 ships belonged to the Cabal of Earth's SSP, as it was easy to see where they jumped to when they fled, because every ship leaves a short-lived frequency wake behind it when it jumps into hyperspace, which acts like a footprint. And it led directly to Earth. So we know exactly where they are. This is the second attack of this nature against the Triad supply ships, being that the first one was recently made against an Antarian supply ship, also as it approached Earth, but that time, the aggressors belonged to the Orion fleet, which is still lurking around at roughly 5 million kilometers from Earth, forming an intimidation ring around all of us. We can see how they act the same way and are coordinated with the SSP. This incident was reported to all the other star races of the Galactic Federation in proximity to Earth, and they all unanimously agree that, according to space law and the rules and regulations of the Federation, those ships that belong to Orion, and the ones which belong to the SSP are all engaging in space piracy. The next move against the problem, and with full Federation cooperation, is that all starships which encounter them are free to defend themselves with lethal force if necessary. Furthermore, all incoming civilian vessels will require being escorted by warships of their same star nation and origin until they have reached a safe Earth orbit. We here know that the objective of all those aggressors is to intimidate the Triad, so I heavily doubt that any non-Triad Federation vessels will ever be bothered. This is only against ours. We also notice that the vessels which were attacked belong to Antaria and Taygeta, where there is a distinction between civilian and military ships, and where the Urmah have not been attacked, but unlike us, the cats do not make any difference between their vessels. They are all simply Urmah ships, not classified as military or as civilian, just Urmah, and they are all heavily protected and armed. From my point of view, and strictly speaking, they are all military, and anyway, no one in their right mind would ever dare to attack an Urmah ship. Now, the reason why the Sasketch-2 was attacked may interest you. Part of her cargo was the first production batch of small tactical ships designed to look like human helicopters. The first 12 helicopters to enter service in rescue and other operations on the surface of Earth arrived in Sasketch-2. 12 SSP ships attacked a large cargo vessel that was transporting 12 helicopters. 12 and 12, I don't like this, almost as if it were a message. It is quite obvious that they intended to stop, or at least send a message to all of us that they do not agree with the presence of those helicopter-like craft. The rules and regulations of the Galactic Federation are clear about this. Those helicopters do not alter the matrix because they look human, so we are perfectly allowed to use them as long as we do not go over any logical intervention point. We can use them but discreetly, in other words. Moving on to other things, I must say, especially after all the above, I notice that I have not published any spiritual and metaphysical subjects lately, and I want to say why. I miss writing about softer subjects, those I enjoy the most writing about, like the astral and how I feel and see it, for example, and I am all the time wanting to get back into writing about all that. Everything that I write is a direct reflection of what I am living. And please remember that I write from the point of view of someone with great responsibility and in a position of leadership. I many times don't have the time and the state of mind to think about, to meditate on spiritual subjects, which I would later share with all of you. Even right now, as I write these words, I was interrupted because I have to be made aware of important technical maintenance issues here. It is hard to be spiritual when things of the physical world hammer you all the time, like what I just described with the Sasketch-2 incident. I am in a leadership position, so I am often forced into placing all my attention on the things, subjects, and incidents that surround me, my people, and what we are doing. And again, right now I was interrupted. As Mark Twain once said, There is nothing that disturbs the creative process of writing more than constant interruptions. This is from the top of my head. It is one thing to continue writing about space incidents after an interruption, and another to try to continue writing about spiritual subjects, because these last ones need me to be in a state of calm and flow, perhaps even in a soft trance. And also, because I needed to jump between living on one ship to another, I don't have my usual computer set up, and this alone bothers my peace and writing inspiration. Furthermore, the events surrounding my YouTube channel left me with an unpleasant feeling of incomprehension and inability to communicate as I wish, which has left me somewhat off-center. And since then, I have to think carefully about every word I use because I feel like everything I say can be misinterpreted and used against me. This blocks me from speaking naturally and fluently, which prevents me from sharing spiritual and metaphysical subjects and drains me of a lot of energy. It is simply exhausting to write in this state of mind. I don't like to share my weaknesses, but not sharing them with you makes what I write sterile, edited, and inhuman. How could you possibly know me if I don't share this directly with all of you? Furthermore, we're not exactly in a time of peace, as there's a lot of conflict around us and on Earth. Writing about spiritual themes in peace isn't the same as writing about them in conflict. Even when nothing's happening around you, planet Earth is actually in serious trouble, and the Triad is doing everything we can or within our power to help. So, that's what is going on with me, and I simply hope to get back into a nice, fluent and peaceful state of mind to write about other subjects, and make more videos. Perhaps even despite all the never-ending conflict around us all. Writing about spiritual subjects is impossible if my mind is rushing to try to solve the innumerable urgent and sometimes critical problems around me. This has also caused me to delay the interviews I have scheduled with the Urmah, but they are coming soon. I'd like to thank all of you who have followed me, helped me in every way, and can see the real Marie behind this imposed robotic voice. Thank you, my friends. No words suffice to say how much I appreciate all your help, effort, and support. This is all I can share today. As always, thank you for watching my video, and for liking, sharing, and subscribing for more. And I hope to see you here next time. With much love and appreciation. Your friend, Marie.